afternoon, guys, and welcome back to another edition here on the NE Patriots Talk channel. Hope you guys are having an awesome day. Thank you so much for taking this time to watch this live stream on Christian Wilkins. But before that, we will be touching on the Christian Gonzalez injury that happened during the first day of pads and training camp. But before that, how are we doing today, Andy?
We're doing fairly well, Dow. It's a hot day here in Metro West, but let me tell you, I'm trying to stay inside, as much as I can. Got my iced coffee, and ready to talk a little bit of football after being offline for over a week.
Yeah, we've been offline for a bit, and besides, because of my work schedule, and obviously, originally I was planning to do this live stream yesterday, but because I had no idea how long I was going to be sleeping for, so I think this would be a perfect day.
And I worked yesterday, so just as well today worked out, which is awesome.
Yeah, I'm working again tonight, so this is a perfect timing to do it. But
perfect timing, yeah.
As usual, please make sure that as you come in, please make sure that you smash the like button and hit subscribe. It's completely free and helps support the channel in a massive way. And throughout the show, please post in your questions and your comments throughout the inside the YouTube chat. We would love to read them throughout the show. But without further ado, before we get into the whole Christian Wilkins story and whatever, let's talk about that Christian Gonzalez injury that was reported. Per multiple sources. We heard it from Mark Daniels. We heard it from Mike Reese. We've heard it from Andrew Callahan. We've heard it through various Patriots sources. But can you give the audience some details of what this Christian Gonzalez injury is and how it all happened?
So I forget the exact play, but Christian Gonzalez left the field partway through training camp today. First padded practice, Dow, as you said, with an apparent hamstring injury. In fact, I believe it's now confirmed a hamstring injury. He did walk off the field under his own power, which was a very good sign. He wasn't carted off or driven off the field. And sat in what's called, I believe, the training. He sat for the remainder of workouts in what I believe they call the training shed, which is where I believe injured players sit if they have to be off the field for or I should say, here I go, where a player sits if they have to be off the field for any reason, whether it's dehydration or injury or what have you. So I'm not entirely sure what play he got injured on, Dow, if you could help me on that one.
So if I'm not mistaken, let me look up Mark Daniels. But as I'm quickly looking at this, not football related, that Steph Curry has been traded to the Milwaukee Bucks, but that doesn't matter. But we'll discuss this off stream. But I'm going to look through. I think this was per Mark Daniels, and I know Colby looked all through Mark Daniels today on his live stream. So let me just quickly take a look. So Christian Gonzalez just suffered what appeared to be an injury to his left leg, and it looked like he grabbed the back of his leg after covering Stephon Diggs in 11 on 11s.
It was Stephon Diggs, and it was 11 on 11s. Yeah, thanks. I just temporarily forgotten that. But yeah, I remembered it was 11 on 11s. When, by the way, a little bit of a digression here, Will Campbell actually looked really good. So, but yeah, this Gonzo injury, I mean, like I said in our prologue, let's not sugarcoat it here. This is bad news, Pats Nation. I mean, here's a top 100 player. He was ranked in the 80s, arguably should be ranked in the 50s or the 60s, but one of only 2 or 3, quote, blue chip players on the team, and he goes off the field in the first day of padded practice. That is not at all something we want to see, especially when you have another injury-prone corner in Carlton Davis.
Exactly.
And now you're potentially talking about an Alex Austin or a Marcus Jones being your first corner up to start the season. And that is, needless to say, not ideal. Now, on the flip side of that, Patriots have an extremely, extremely underrated defensive line with Keon White and Christian Barmore, Milton Williams, all there. You've got Joshua Farmer, who has looked good in the early runs of training camp, rookie who could prove to be a stud. You've entirely revamped your linebacker core, bringing in Landry and Spillane and Gibbons. So yes, this is, without Gonzo, this is still an underrated defense, but we've talked about Christian Gonzalez before. He can nullify the AJ Browns, Tyreek Hills, a Jamar Chase of the world. This is not a guy you want to have off the field to start your season, and he can help things for the rest of the defense as well, speed things up.
Yeah, exactly. So as you were talking, I was just looking at X and read a couple things on Discord. So basically, this whole Steph Curry thing never happened. I just got fooled, but this is why people come up with these creative accounts just to impersonate as like these insiders, especially on ESPN, like Adam Schefter, blah blah blah. But that's not important to know. We'll talk about this later. I just hope Christian Gonzalez stays healthy because
I know, me too.
We've seen Christian Gonzalez injured in various occasions. We've seen him injured against the Cowboys with a shoulder torn labrum. We've seen him possibly a concussion against the Chargers, but I don't think it was like a major injury. And now we're dealing with this. As long as it's not like a long-term injury, we should be fine. But at the same time, if he does well this season, he's eligible to get a fifth-year option plus a contract extension. And we know that this contract extension is going to be massive for the cornerback market.
And there was also, if I can say something here, Devin McCourty apparently started out as cornerback and was an all-pro his rookie year. He completely sucked as cornerback his second year and switched over to safety. Let's try and not see that same thing with Gonzo. I mean, obviously, through 3 games in a full season, we've seen what he can be, and he was a second-team All-Pro this last season. But this is on top of him getting pantsed by Boutte in practice this morning. But I digress. It wasn't one game. It was one practice session.
Exactly.
Let's hope the guy gets back on the field before the start of the season. And I read a comment that said Vrabel will probably be wise to sit him for at least 1 preseason game, possibly 2.
Well, you're bound to have to sit most of your.
They're going to sit your ones anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It's just mainly your rookies and your practice squatters, or correct, basically backups. But regardless, let's not worry about this because because I will not be surprised if Christian Gonzalez is going to be on the PUP list. That's for sure. That's for sure. But we need to find out by tonight on the official news on that Christian Gonzalez injury because we know he was with the medical. He was in the medical tent. I think it was with the athletic trainers in the back of the athletic room. So we won't know until like either tonight or tomorrow. But we'll find out sooner than later.
Sorry to cut in, Dow. I will be going to training camp tomorrow, and somebody's probably going to come in with an update on Gonzo before me, but it'll be interesting to see what goes on tomorrow morning.
Okay. But now we got that whole Christian Gonzalez segment out of the way. Remember, guys, before I forget, please make sure that you smash the like button and hit subscribe if you haven't already. And please post in your questions and comments in the YouTube chat throughout the show. But let's now talk about the main topic, which is the whole Christian Wilkins free agency frenzy, I would say, because as we all know, Christian Wilkins has been released by the Las Vegas Raiders for a multitude of reasons, but let's talk about who Christian Wilkins is before we get into why he was released. So, and if you don't mind telling the audience who Christian Wilkins is.
So Christian Wilkins actually happens to be from he was born in my mom's home city of Springfield, Massachusetts. He grew up in Framingham, went to high school there. He actually split time between Framingham Academy and Suffield Academy. Suffield is a town in Connecticut about 15, 20 miles south of Springfield. He he's out of Clemson University, where he was the 13th overall pick in the 2019 draft, and is a 6'4", 310-pound defensive tackle. He was actually drafted by the Dolphins in 2019, played for them through the 2023 season, and then left to go to the Raiders in 2024. He was a unanimous All-American coming out of college. Here are his numbers: 372 total tackles, 22 and a half sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 6 recoveries, 1 pick, and 19 pass deflections. That's per Pro Football Reference. And apparently, one Mike Vrabel tried to recruit him to Ohio State, if I am not mistaken. So there is that Vrabel Wilkins connection there, which I feel is very, very interesting. But he was just cut by the Las Vegas Raiders for some reasons we'll get into. And our key question today is whether or not New England should sign him. And apparently, this is from Sports Illustrated. Adam Schefter shares awkward, quote, kiss incident between Christian Wilkins and Raiders teammate. The ESPN insider made clear the incident was not what caused the Raiders to release Wilkins, but it is still
one of the reasons. But
it's one of the reasons, yes. But Dow, carry on.
But I think the main reason was because of that foot injury that has been going on from last season to now, and that foot injury kept him from playing for the majority of last season, because if I'm not mistaken, he played like at least 5 games that season, and then he suffered that foot injury.
What I believe it was. I was reading it this morning, and I think it was after game 5. You're correct. Let me just double check that.
And I think the main reason was, besides that foot injury, was also the same that reason was also part of another issue, which was Christian Wilkins was reluctant to have his foot surgery. And we know that if you don't have your foot injury, then it's going to be, I'm no doctor, so if I was majoring, like if I went to like a medical school or had like a doctorate degree, I would know all of this, but unfortunately I don't. So
I have both a friend and a cousin-in-law who have had severe orthopedic injuries, and sorry, I'm making a digression here. Sometimes surgery is actually not the way to go, because if it heals, it can actually make things worse. Like especially back surgery can make things even worse than physical therapy or going through healing on your own. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I did, come to think of it, read that article that said, oh geez, he's not going to take the surgery that, where there's a chance this, his foot will fix itself better than if he were to just go through PT. We're going to cut ties with him.
Yeah. But I think we're gonna pull up some images of what I think led to why Pete Carroll or maybe Tom Brady, wink wink, minority owner for the Las Vegas Raiders, might possibly release Christian Wilkins. But let me see if I can.
This said he actually played in 17 games.
That's weird. Is it through Wikipedia or through something else? Because if it's through Wikipedia, then sometimes I don't trust Wikipedia. But no, that's not
weird.
the right one.
That can't be right.
No,
it was 5. It wasn't 6. It was 5. It wasn't 17. It was 5.
Okay, so this is the right one. So basically, in this image, I don't know if you can read it because I don't think it's.
That's right.
Yeah, it's hard to read. Yeah, it's hard to read it, but if I can read this, it says that Raiders coach Pete Carroll said Friday the club didn't rush into its decision to release defensive tackle Christian Wilkins the day before a dispute regarding his recovery from a broken foot. And I quote, "We took a long time to make our decision," Carroll said. "We watched our way through the whole thing. We're keeping it really clear with what we said. I think there was no clear path to his return, so we just had to move on." His comments largely echoed the statement issued by the Las Vegas organization on Thursday. The Raiders didn't mince words with an unusually strongly worded statement saying that Wilkins failed to provide a clear path or plan the future for a future return to play. Wilkins was injured in Week 5 last season and had some sort of a setback in his recovery that took him out of off-season practices, so he didn't play during OTAs nor mandatory minicamp, and it landed him on a PUP list shortly before training camp opened Wednesday. So it seems like for whatever reason why Christian Wilkins refused to take this foot surgery, nonetheless, he was one of the best defensive tackles for the Miami Dolphins. And then for some stupid reason, Chris Greer, or I don't know, decided he's too lazy. I'm too lazy to do things. I'll just let him go to the Las Vegas Raiders. And yeah, Las Vegas gave him like the most ridiculous contract I've ever seen, which was a 4-year, $100-something million deal, which I think Raiders shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, that was probably a little expensive for a guy who was on his 28-year-old season. I mean, he's still on the young side of 30, but he's not that young. So, yeah, that was, and he was, I don't know if I go as far as a stud in Miami, but he was a very, very good player for them. Had a couple of key defensive plays against the Patriots in 2023. But yeah, that does sound like it's a lot to pay this guy and then cut him after 1 year.
Yeah, I think it's because Las Vegas has made a lot of stupid moves when it comes to free agency, and more important when it comes to the draft, especially in the first round pick. Because
they took Alex Leatherwood in the 2021 draft.
And that was under that so-called era, which we won't discuss because that's the John Gruden era, and we all know that.
Yeah, John Gruden, great football mind, but
not a good at.
Like Belichick, he made some, at bare minimum, questionable decisions as a GM.
But then again, it's the owner's fault, and we're not talking about the Raiders. We're talking about why this connects to the Patriots, and let's discuss it. So basically, on the 25th of July, Vrabel was asked by Karen Guregian, who I believe that's Vrabel's one of his favorite reporters to chat with, because
correct,
probably the history. She asked him if there is a possibility of bringing in Christian Wilkins. Vrabel said he had a connection when recruiting him during Vrabel in his college days, meeting him in Connecticut to try to get him to play for Ohio State. Vrabel had said they, the front office, and him would have had to have a conversation about that. I'm sure we will. And Vrabel said in numerous interviews, we're always looking to make the team better. So, do you think that Christian Wilkins could possibly boost up this defensive line, or we're already good with Christian Barmore and Milton Williams and countless of, and obviously we drafted Joshua Farmer?
That is a very, very good question, and I've tried to think about that. We did just see Christian Gonzalez go out with an injury, and we know Carlton Davis's history. We also know Christian Barmore now has that history with blood clots. Even though he has been given a clean bill of health, I believe there is still that risk of him getting either blood clots or possibly, something more severe. But I think as a and we even talked in our positional broadcasts about how little depth the Patriots have at some positions. It may not be the worst idea to bring in Wilkins as a depth piece. He's not going to be a guy you'll use right away, but if you lose a Barmore or Williams or a Farmer to whatever, a freak accident can happen on a football field at any given time. And given his past with Vrabel, bringing him in as a depth piece, I'm thinking might not be the stupidest idea in the world. How about you?
So basically, the next question I will ask, and I don't mind bringing Christian Wilkins in because I thought we should have got Christian Wilkins last season. Unfortunately, he went to Las Vegas for some reason, because we all know that he is a Pats fan because, as you alluded to, he was born in Massachusetts. So it would have made sense that we would have brought him in free agency last season, but Patriots were not like a attractive organization, I would say, because
we were neither an attractive organization at the time, nor was our coaching staff really willing to do, pardon me, anything. We brought in, I think, exactly no one in FA a year ago. It was laughable.
And Hooper doesn't count. Gibson, okay, but nothing flashy. But people complain about, like, oh, these big names. But were there any impactful players from that free agency last season that made an impact this season? Like Antonio Gibson, yeah, but Antonio Gibson, yeah, they may have some of that. And I agree with my man, Delusional Pats fan. Welcome in, buddy. And he said, clearly New England didn't want to really spend on anything else on outside talent last year. It's basically just connections with, like, whatever from Elliott Wolf, like with the Packers and Browns. So basically we brought in Hooper, who was with the Browns. Antonio Gibson, I don't think it was with the Browns, but he was with the Commanders. Taki, who we let go for a stupid contract, who was also with the Browns. We brought in KJ Osborne, who basically did nothing with us. Chukwueze Okorafor, who quit on us. We would have Jacoby Brissett to be the bridge for Drake May, because that was that season was basically the development of Drake May. Basically, we brought in nobody. We didn't even we had the money. We had the most money to pay Christian Wilkins. But the most of the time, free agency was laughable. We just gave him like 1 year or 2 year deals, or mainly just re-signing players who were part of a 4-13 team.
Actually, Hooper came to us from Vegas, actually.
He came from Vegas, yet he also played for...
He was drafted by the Falcons, where obviously we remember him catching that touchdown in 51, and then Cleveland for 2 seasons, Tennessee for 1, Vegas for 1.
Yep. But regardless if we bring Christian Wilkins or not, will he be able to like pass his physical? Because that foot injury is serious.
Yeah, there is that question, and in that article that I think it was Paperwave sent us earlier today. I mean, there is that question of it's like, okay, what exactly was the main reason the Raiders cut him? And if it was that foot injury, is it serious enough that the Pats shouldn't consider bringing him in? Um, Although the only way to see how he looks on the field, potentially in training camp and in the preseason, would be to possibly bring him to Foxborough and evaluate him. Although I believe we'd have to, if I'm not mistaken, cut a guy in order to do that because we have 91, I believe. But yeah, that does beg the question, that injury of what was the main reason Vegas cut him, and is there perhaps a reason lying therein why we shouldn't sign him? Because a a foot injury is not. I mean, a football player can suffer all types of injuries. A foot injury takes a very long time to heal, and we know they're on their feet all the time, so it's not exactly an ideal one to have, especially for a defensive tackle, because you've got to be planting your body all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And we obviously know that Christian Wilkins wanted, and we don't know if he wants a big deal or not. We don't know if we should give him like a small contract or a big contract, considering that he is your starting caliber of a defensive tackle. If it wasn't for the injury, he would have had a successful season in Las Vegas. I just felt like the contract that Las Vegas gave him, and I'm going to ask you this, Andy. Do you think Las Vegas shouldn't have given Christian Wilkins that huge contract, or it's too early to tell, considering that he only played for Las Vegas.
Remind me what the numbers were again.
For the contract.
Mm-hmm.
Let me double check. I know it's a 4-year deal, and it's somewhere in the hundreds, but it's okay. So it's a 4-year deal worth $110 million deal with $84.75 million guaranteed.
So that's 110 mil. That's like
27.5.
28 per annum, which is a lot of money. Yeah, that was probably, like I said earlier, too much to pay a guy who was 28 years old last season, a defensive tackle who was 28. If he were a couple of years younger and maybe had proven himself to be slightly more of a blue chip guy, I might have paid him that money. But yeah, that was not a smart move by the Vegas FO last season to bring him in on that much money, and then he has this injury and it's, oh, let's cut him and flush the rest of that money down the drain, or who knows what we're going to do with it. The Pats, meanwhile, I think still have $60 million worth of cap space. So that's another reason
we're number one in cap space.
To maybe even after our spending in the offseason. And maybe that, who knows, maybe we should just bite the bullet, pull the lever, and bring this guy in on a 1 year, $3-4 million deal. See how he works out.
Yeah.
But like I said, you would have to cut another guy in order to do that.
And who would be that candidate that the Patriots might potentially cut to make room for Christian Wilkins?
That's a good question. Like I said, we're not talking the 53-man roster here. I probably that is a good question.
Yeah, this is something we could discuss off stream, but
probably maybe like One of the UDFAs.
Yeah, maybe one of the UDFAs.
Maybe
Or maybe that guy that
Blankenship.
we brought in from the Rams.
Maybe Blankenship or Scott. Who'd we bring in from the Rams? I forget.
I forgot his name, but it was a defensive tackle. He came from I forgot his name. It was through a international player pathway.
Oh, we don't have him anymore. That yeah, him.
I think there was.
We cut
Let
him
me
already.
find. No, I think there's another one.
Really?
His name is David Olajiga, who played for the Rams, who was undrafted free agent for the Rams, and then he got waived in May of this season, and we brought him in July 20th, 2025.
Interesting.
So it's not that other guy, but
so he was a UDFA this year.
The guy that we brought in?
Yeah.
No, he wasn't undrafted last year.
Oh, last year. Okay. Yeah, and then there was that other guy whom we cut, whose name I can't remember.
I think I know what you're talking about. If I can find his name, it's gonna be hard to hunt for his name, considering that we did draft him. But I'm looking through Wikipedia, and basically they don't have. I'm trying to. It's hard to find his name. No, that's not the guy I'm looking for. This is hard. Well, wait. Hold on. Let me look through all of the guys we
Let me
released.
see if I can. Wasn't Jaquay Jackson?
No, that can't be him.
David Olajiga. That's who we just talked about.
No!
I can't.
Wilfred Penn.
Wilfred Penney.
That's the guy. Now I remember. But yeah. Yeah, you thought it was Kyrie's Tonga, but he played for the Cardinals and Minnesota Vikings. But we only gave him like 1 year.
Tonga's still here and could be a very good addition at nose tackle.
Yeah, for depth. And I think that when it comes to Christian Wilkins, I want to ask you this, Andy. If we were to sign him and give him a reasonable deal, like a 2-year, let's say like $30 million deal.
30? Okay, cool.
How much of the snaps will he play throughout the season?
A 2-year, $30 million deal, so 15 per annum? I'd say 55. You probably want him on the field for about 55 to 60% of the snaps if you're paying him that kind of money. That's not the most expensive deal, but it's not the cheapest deal either. So you're going to want to keep him on for, I think, about slightly more than half the snaps. How about you?
I would say he would, because generally he played like 80 to 90% of the snaps, but because of the lingering injury and because you got your 2 starters in Milton Williams, I would see him playing at least similar to where you projected.
55 to 60. Yeah. Interesting.
Because he still has that dog in him, because
Yep.
he was a former first rounder for Miami. Miami did a great job of drafting that guy. I think as much as I want to say Las Vegas made a stupid mistake of giving them the deal, the bigger mistake is the Dolphins not giving him a 5th-year option or giving him an extension. So I blame that on Chris Grier, less so much on Las Vegas.
Because he did not. Did he? Let me look it up. Did he have a career season in 23?
He did in 2022, and then so he had 98. I'm gonna have to go on to Pro Football Reference because I think his let me see.
2022, he had 59 tackles. Combined tackles 98.
Let me just.
For 3.5 sacks and 6 passes defended.
Okay.
2 forced fumbles. Yeah.
He
And
had
then
9 sacks in 2023, which was his career high.
mhm.
He had 1
9
interception in
sacks was a
2020.
career high. Yep, I got that.
2 fumble recoveries in 2023. But last season he only had 17 combined tackles for 2 sacks.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, he only played 5 games.
Yeah. And we all know how depleted the Raiders were. I would say depleted because Max Crosby was their starting guy and their defense was very stellar. But I think that Raiders season, it was a shit show. Tom Telesco, who I think is an overrated general manager for the Chargers and then with the Raiders now no longer has a job. And then you had Antonio Pierce, who I thought had potential to be a head coach, who got canned because Mark Davis has zero clue on how to manage the team, not living up to his father's expectations.
Yeah, Davis is still potentially a problem out there in Vegas. I mean, yeah, that's.
But then again, Dolphins are also a shit show for not re-signing that guy, not giving him an extension. Like
The Dolphins have made some questionable decisions the past couple of seasons. I mean, had they still had Christian Wilkins, we might not be talking about him potentially coming here.
Yeah, and because of that, Dolphins drafted Kenneth Grant, who I think is an overreach.
Drafted who?
Kenneth Grant.
Oh, this year?
Yes.
Yeah.
To fill that hole, because they did lose. I think they added Calais Campbell to fill in that Christian Wilkins, and then Christian Wilkins went back to Arizona to play his final season, I think, and they drafted Kenneth Grant. But
wait, Christian? What do you mean Christian Wilkins went back to Arizona?
No, I mean Calais Campbell. What am I talking?
Oh, Calais. Yeah. I think you're definitely you're right. You're right.
What else do I want? So basically, this is gonna be the final question before we end off the stream. So we already know that we're talking about like some possibilities, but do you confidently think that Patriots should go after Christian Wilkins?
Do I confidently believe that? Yes, I do. And let me just think about how I explain why. Because is the foot injury a big question? 100%. But like I said earlier, it would not hurt to have more depth on that D line, and we still have money to spare. So maybe through a couple of practices, let's just see how this D line looks. And then maybe a week later, ask ourselves. So I'm kind of reneging on that yes now. I want to bring him in, but I'm not 100% confident. Let's just see a couple more of these practices, see how the defensive line continues to play, and then maybe ask ourselves this question in a week. If we still want to bring in this formerly solid defense, I'm going to say formerly very solid defensive tackle, but with that lingering question of a bad foot, because you don't want to, you're standing all the time as a football player.
Interesting. For me, I would say yes. Should we do it now? Not yet. Maybe during cut waivers. And I'll say why cut waivers. Because we need to see how well this defensive line looks before we make any moves with Christian Wilkins. I don't know if we're going to be number 1 or number whatever when it comes to waivers. When we claiming off when we're adding additions as we're cutting down the 53-man roster. Similar to how we did with Ezekiel Elliott back in 2023. let's see how well it looks. Let's see how well the preseason game looks for against Washington. And I know you and Austin are going to that game.
We are. We're
So
looking forward to it very much.
And yes, we will be doing a live stream. I think I might do a live stream either Saturday or Sunday these upcoming 2 weekends. Not this upcoming weekend, but the weekend after. We will
2
do
weeks,
a live
okay.
stream.
All right.
And in that live stream, we will be talking about what you like, what you dislike, trending up and trending down players from that game.
Yeah. That's so you're probably gonna have both Austin and me on for that one. That'll be a fun one. That'll be really cool.
But going back to my answer, I'm confidently saying yes.
Okay.
How this injury will affect him, and if he's willing to cooperate with Mike Vrabel and the athletic staff, that will be determined later. We don't know yet, but these are just speculations.
Yeah, I mean, and we know he's got that recruitment history with Vrabel. I mean, this is a guy whom he knows. And there are indications he might even be not actively recruiting, but trying to recruit him to come to Foxborough. But we do also know that Vrabel likes, and this is very Parcellsian, he does not appreciate not being, he's a player's guy, but he doesn't appreciate not being listened to by his players at all.
Interesting.
So what was that?
No, I just said interesting.
Yeah. So I mean, he's gonna probably want, one of the articles that Tom Paperwaves posted earlier said, yeah, if he comes here, he's gonna have to take that medical advice from Vrabel, and he will be given that pass.
I see. Well, that's going to be it today for this short live stream. It was meant to be a short live stream since we were just discussing a possibility of bringing Christian Wilkins. This could be a definite yes or a definite no. So maybe yes or so maybe no, but we shall see. But before you leave, please make sure that if you haven't already, please smash the like button. Please smash the like button if you really, really enjoyed the show. And if you want to see more content like this, whether it be draft film breakdowns, we will be the Will Campbell film breakdown. It's going to be a huge project for me, Andy, Austin, and Paperwaves. So you should stay tuned for that this upcoming August. Me and Austin will do a Josh for Farmer film breakdown either tomorrow or Tuesday or Thursday. I have to go check my schedule on that. But if you want to see these kind of upcoming live streams, or if you really enjoy these live streams, please make sure that you smash the subscribe button. It's completely free and helps support the channel, and turn on these bell notifications if you don't want to miss out on any of these live streams. And as always, go Pats.